and before it moved up to Fort Meade. So what I planned on doing is giving you like a quick story of my life from the Marine Corps to where I'm at now, and kind of how I broke into cyber. And then I took some notes just to look at some key points I want to make sure I talk to you guys about, and then we'll go from there. So I joined the Marine Corps in 1997, was in there for 8 years. I was an O231, an intel specialist, and I focused on briefing grunts on aircraft or helos or adversary weather, enemy terrain. How well are they armed? How well are they equipped? How well do their pilots fly? What kind of funding do they have? What's their government infrastructure like? What's their military infrastructure like? And I would brief pilots and brief troops on the ground to prepare them for combat, prepare them against who they're going to be going against, and what they need to look for, where safe areas are at, what indigenous food is healthy to eat, what areas are safe to talk to the locals, which areas are not. And so I did that for 6.5 years. I got stationed at Quantico, and at Quantico, this is right around the time when the Marine Corps Network Security Operations Center was being stood up. And this was the official Marine Corps cyber command post, basically. And so being an official command, the Marine Corps, okay, boom, we have to have an admin shop, we need an intel shop, we need an ops shop. And so the intel shop, they grabbed a lieutenant from an O2 lieutenant, an O2 staff sergeant, and an O2 lance corporal. O2 meaning intel types. So all three of us collectively, I was the staff sergeant, were the intel shop. I had no idea what intel meant as regard to cyber. I had no idea why I was there, why they moved me over. No clue how cyber and intel married and worked together. So the first thing that happened to me is they sent me to data systems school, which is basically entry-level sysadmin school for Marines. So I'm a staff sergeant. I'm in there with a bunch of lance corporals and PFCs, kids, and they're going and learning ones and zeros. They're learning what IP addresses are, what domains are, different threat TTPs, not even threat TTPs at that point, just basically the ones and zeros of being a sysadmin. After doing that, I went back to my shop and started learning about what bad guys are doing and how they're doing it. All right, so this is where I started to make the connection between intel and cyber. When you're looking at a kinetic environment, intel and ops are truly two separate animals. Intel drives ops, in my opinion. Some people may think otherwise, but they're two completely separate animals. When you're talking in cyber, the concept of intel and ops, they are really a lot more closely married together. So I started learning about what country X was doing and how they were doing it and why they were doing it. And I started looking at understanding how the ones and zeros equated to what I used to do as far as people. Where I was tracking how well a pilot could fly and what his platform was capable of, I was taking that same intel mentality and taking it towards what type of emails are they sending? What type of links are attached? Is there a commonality in the themes? Is there a commonality in their targets? Do I go brief the targets and let them know that they're being targeted and so they can be another means of information, of intel? All for the sense of protecting the network, protecting the people behind the network. Got out of the Marine Corps in 2005. Immediately started doing defense contract work for JTF GNO. I've been at DIA. I've been at, I spent a good amount of time at the Pentagon supporting the Army. And currently I'm at Department of Justice managing their SOC. So, I've gone a long way from just doing threat intel and to where I'm at now. Some of the key things I think that are key takeaways if you're looking to get into this environment as far as cyber as it relates to the federal government. One of the first things I have written down is get your foot in the door regarding clearance. I was fortunate to pick an MOS when I joined the Marine Corps that allowed me to have a clearance. Had no idea what it meant or why, I just thought intel might be cool. But get your foot in the door at that clearance. If you have to go work security at night for a local company that requires a clearance and are willing to do that background check, go do it for 6 months. There's going to be a level of sacrifice you're going to have to make if you want to get a clearance. And even then, it's not always going to be the first door that opens. So get that clearance. Get that clearance and maintain that clearance. You can lose a clearance as quickly as you can gain one. And again, if you guys all have clearances and you all know this, forgive me. But you know, your credit score, your personal life, your criminal history, all those things, they don't go away. You don't just get your clearance and now you're good. Every 5 years, they're going to ask you the same questions again. You need to maintain it. All the other certs and skills and MBAs or degrees and whatever else mean nothing in the federal environment unless you have that clearance. Now, there are those rare instances where someone is so specialized and so skilled and so talented that a company is willing to spend that money to get them that clearance. However, there are way too many people in this area that are in the military that come from an environment where they already have a clearance, that a majority of these companies are not going to spend the resources to get you a clearance. So, because it just financial from a fiscal point of view, it makes no sense. There are 10 other guys that can do what you do, and they're cleared already. It costs companies up to $250,000 at times to be able to get someone cleared. So that's something to get in mind. Keep in mind. Get your foot in the door. Get that clearance. Next thing I have is get your cert hustle on. So you see some people, their signature block, they've got 10,000 letters behind it, 1 billion certs, right? They have their value. I will tell you that I have interviewed and worked with people that have 1 million certs, and they are, I'm not going to say worthless. Their resume does not really equate to their practical knowledge. Don't focus solely on the certs. Get the certs because you need them. You need the certs. That people want to see something on paper that says he's been measured in some way, or she's been measured in some way that shows that he has the capacity to get these certifications. But it's not the end-all, be-all. I know plenty of analysts that are so sharp, that are so shit hot, that really know what they're doing, and you can put them in any environment, they will thrive. They don't have certs, and they can't get on board. Because a lot of times when you're dealing with DOD especially, the certs are a requirement for you to get on board. So I've got my clearance, and I'm pretty smart, I know cyber, but I don't have a certification. I don't have a Sec Plus, I don't have a Net Plus, I don't have a CEH, I don't have a, the list goes on, GCIH, GCIA. And it will stop you from getting, again, your foot in the door. Get the certifications. They're gonna cost money. Stack up, do what you have to do. You want to go on vacation, you save up for vacation. You guys make that happen. You want to get some new shoes, new whatever, you make that happen. It's almost like the Rosetta Stone commercial, where they say, you spend all this money to do this. Well, spend the money to learn a language. Get the certs. As you get the certs, though, understand that your real focus, as far as your day-to-day work life, needs to be practical application. Being around those that are smarter than you, being around those that know the environment, that have been doing this for a while. Learn from them. Take the time. This is going to take time. If you want to get into the cyber environment, the cyber world, for every 8 hours you spend at work, you need to spend another 4 to 6, 8 hours outside of work getting smarter, getting better. The guys that I work with that are, extremely brilliant, that are smart, that know, that I throw a domain in them, they can tell me who the APT actor is on the drop. These guys go home and do the same thing they were doing at work. It's a must. It has to happen. You have to spend the time. You can have the certs. You can have the clearance. You can get brought onto a contract. If you don't spend the time, you're going to stay stagnant. You have to spend the time outside of work. One thing I preach to every junior analyst I talk to is, how hungry are you for this? You have to spend the time outside of work. You have to spend the time, your lunch break. You have to have a book in your hand all the time. You have to be continuously learning and growing and getting better. Or it just won't happen. I've seen it happen time and time again, or it just won't happen. So clearance, your certifications, your practical application. 3, I have learn your environment. So what you're going to find is that not every security operations center is the same. The way things work at the Pentagon are not the same way that things work at the Department of Justice. are not the same way that things work at Goldman Sachs, are not the same way that things work at Microsoft. You have to know your environment and what the needs of your bosses are. Because remember, if you're coming to be an incident handler, incident responder, fusion, threat intel, you need to know what the mission is of that organization. And it's not always necessarily what's important to you, it's what's important to the owner of that network, right? So you have to keep that in mind. What was important to me at Department of Defense has been vastly changed at Department of Justice. There are a lot of things that in my mind I know they should care about, they should pay attention to, and I advise, and I give my guidance, but at the end of the day, they're the systems owners, and they make the decision. So know your environment, and then that way you can gauge and you can change your focus and adjust your focus to what it is they need. Because unless it's your network, you're going to be working for somebody else, whether you're Govy, whether you're a contractor, whether you're 1099, whether you own your own company. If you own your own company, great. Most likely you are being contracted out to someone else to help defend their network. You need to know what their needs are. You need to know their environment. Learn your hierarchy. Who's my boss? Who do I answer to? Who does he answer to? Who does he answer to? Learn that. Know your environment, know your surroundings. Know the subcomponents you support. Know which one of those subcomponents are more important to your bosses, because that, there's a political element there too. For instance, where I'm at Department of Justice, ATF, DEA, Marshals, and FBI, those are the ones that my CIO is more concerned about. From a threat point of view, I need to worry about everybody, but I know at the end of the day, when it comes to answering the mail for day-to-day work, that those four are more important to my bosses. So it's important to keep those things in mind as well, and as far as knowing your environment, knowing the lingo, knowing what works and what doesn't work. Let's see. 4, I have get your niche. So there's 1 or 2 ways you can do this. Well, you can try to do both, but there's 1 or 2 ways you can do this. You become a jack of all trades or a master of one. And I've seen success in both routes. You can learn a little bit about multiple fields and multiple disciplines and multiple things and make yourself valuable, because if they need you to switch your hat on at a moment, you can do that. Or you can become so focused and so prepared and so engrossed in one thing that nobody else can do it. Now you are the man, the woman. You have made yourself invaluable. Make yourself invaluable 1 of the 2 ways. Be that person that they can put on night shift, they can put on day shift, they can switch to the intel team, they can put on instant responders, they can put with the vulnerability assessment team. Be that guy that has a little bit of knowledge of everything, or gal, or be that person that does reverse engineering so well, so skilled that they can't fire you. They can't get rid of you. And if they do, you've got 10 other offers waiting. 1 of the 2. I know very few people that are master of all trades, right? So it's really hard to be able to do all disciplines. But focus on 1 or 2 and become really good at it. You don't have to know everything about everything. That's why you have coworkers. That's why you have other teams of people supporting you. But get really good at something and make it something you enjoy doing. Make it something you like. And you're going to find that if it's something you like, it's less work, it's more fun. Number 5, stay relevant. So you get a cert in 2012, it's 2016 now, you haven't done shit since then. Guess what? That cert's really irrelevant. It's on your resume, it looks good, but your knowledge and your app of that is gone, or is going away. Go to events like this. Go give speeches, prepare a speech, talk to Ty and see if you can present. Especially when you're within the DoD circle, there are so many weekly, monthly, semi-annual conferences. Go, shake hands, meet other analysts, find out how they're doing things at their SOC. Tell them how you're doing things at your SOC. Exchange information. Keep business cards. Keep business cards. Keep business cards. If you don't own a company, keep business cards with your name, address, email, and a way to contact you. You don't know who's at this conference right now who's hiring. You don't know what kind of vice presidents, what kind of CEOs are here looking for qualified people. So keep that on you, right? Make yourself available. Make yourself accessible. Stay relevant. Go to these conferences. You'll find that a lot of these companies will pay for you to go to these conferences that you work for. The government will pay for a lot of these conferences you go for. Stay relevant amongst your community. Learn who the smart people are, learn from them, bother them, harass them. What kind of books have you read lately? What kind of things are you into lately as far as network defense and I continue to say network defense, right? Cyber is bigger than network defense and instant response. I'm just looking at it from where I'm at. So take instant response and put cyber, whatever it means to you there. Let's see, what else? So one of the biggest issues I've had, this is the last point, one of the biggest issues I've had is I put know your route to success, and I put manage or technical. It's not that you cannot be technical and manage. However, you take someone like me, I guess I have a command presence about me. Every time I walk into a shop, I'm there for the first 3 or 4, 6 weeks, and they're asking me to run a section or to manage a section. The more you manage, the less you find yourself behind the keyboard. The less you're behind the keyboard, the less you're actually doing, work with the ones and zeros. And if you get really good at managing people, that's fine. I've got the blueprint down for managing a SOC of all the things that need to be in place administratively, communication with the government, shift that, I got that down pat, but that's what I've been doing. You will find the more you manage in most cases, the less technical you're going to be. And you have to kind of be willing to take that loss and know that this is going to be your career path, as you move up the chain of command. Now, again, the time you spend on, outside of work is important too. So to stay technically competent as a manager, maybe you have to do a little bit of work outside, with the ones and zeros. There are times where I'll sit in on shifts. Talk to the shift leader, I'm your analyst for the day. Okay, what we got? What do you need me to do? It helps me stay somewhat technically competent. But you've got to be willing to kind of humble yourself to be able to do those sort of things. So there's that, and then there's a technical route. I know guys that have no interest in managing a team of anybody. They want to sit behind a keyboard, they want to be given a piece of malware, they want to dissect it, they want to give you a report, and they want to say what's next. And you can become extremely valuable, and you can move up a career path for that sort of discipline, but you have to have it appear that that's what you want to do, right? So, okay, if I'm going to be technical, I'm going to be technical, and that's what my energy is going to be focused on. Even as you become technical, they're going to want you to manage. They're going to say, you're really smart, we have these other smart guys here, but we don't know how to talk to them or deal with them, can you do it? At that point, it's what you want to do, right? You've gotten to the point where you're super technical, now you're invaluable, now they have to keep you. Well, I'll manage twice a day, I'll manage on Thursday and Fridays to keep track on them, but the rest of the days you can start kind of making your own blueprint of what you want to do. And you put them in a position where it's always better when they need you more than you need them, right? And so you have to make yourself invaluable. You have to make yourself that person where it's like, damn, Vince isn't in today. We can't do any analysis on this malware. Vince isn't in. Now, what you do is, though, at the same time, you have to build up your subordinates' capabilities, right, and get them smarter as well. So it's not necessarily about hogging all the information, but you make your team better. My catchphrase for all my analysts is, you are not going to be here for the next 20 years, most likely. I want you to leave here better than what you were when you got here. Who does that benefit? One, that person sees I'm trying to make them better. They have a vested interest now in helping me accomplish this mission. 2, it makes my shop better. If everybody's getting better individually, we're getting better as a team. And 3, when they leave here and they go somewhere else and they're like, damn, this guy's really good. He can talk about where he learned his skills and what he got and give his old shop, a good pat on the back, and we build our reputation. So there's a lot of reasons behind, making sure that you stay technically competent, technically relevant. So those were the 6 points I wanted to bring up. I've learned the hard way sometimes. Oh, I'm sorry. I've learned that. Am I taking too much time? I'm sorry. So I'll leave it at that. Any questions? All right. Thanks, guys.
So Vince, you touched on both the management as well as the technical aspects of cyber, and we've heard a lot about the technical aspects. But coming from a perspective of you being the lead in a project/program manager, working in that environment, give me an idea if I'm new to cyber and I want to be able to catch your eye. what are the things that would increase my chances beyond just a bunch of certifications? Like, say, for instance, I want to be a SOC analyst.
Right.
What are some of the qualifications that you look for in your analysts that you hire?
I'd probably say the biggest one is a self-starter. And that's very vague, right? But like, if I tell you to do 10 things, and these are the 10 things for your shift, and that's all you do every day, that's great. You haven't displayed being a self-starter. Come to me and tell me you have an idea for a new brief that you want to give on malware analysis. Tell me you identified some new way to use FireEye to reveal new malware and that you want to brief that to the rest of the team. Tell me that you want to work different shifts to kind of see what their missions are. And see. It's the self-starter. It's me not having to tell you and talk to you about everything that you need to do every single day. If you're invisible and nobody complains about you, yeah, it's cool. But you know, if someone's not complaining or criticizing you, then you're probably not doing enough. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I look for. That's probably one of the key things is I look for, aside from your technical competencies, is are you a self-starter? Do you get things done when the bosses aren't there watching? And are you doing more than what is just prescribed for your daily routine? And that's something you can't necessarily put on a resume. And it's kind of it has to be seen. But you know, you see enough interviews and you talk to the people, you kind of get a good gauge for it. Yeah. All right.
As Vince mentioned earlier, it's always good to keep good people close to you, which is why I always keep Vince in my circle. As you can see, very bright, very intelligent. He's come a long way from where he was to where he is right now. So thank you again, Vince, for giving that presentation. We have one more person coming up, Gail Schnell. She's going to give you her presentation on her experiences and what she's got going on and what she's doing moving forward.
I steal this. Just sit there while I talk. I feel like I need to read like back stuff courtesy of Uncle Sam and behind me, so I don't feel like standing for a really good time. Alright. And civilian side. I figured out that I really enjoyed working with technology when I was in high school. I helped do my high school's website. I also helped with Network Day, where we networked the whole school so that way every classroom had internet, so we like ran the cables and whatnot. And then also I love to do volunteer activities. So one of the things that we did is we partnered up with an elderly home, and we brought in some senior citizens and we introduced them to the internet and how to use it. And I will never forget this little old lady who's always wanted to go to France, and I took her to the French website where she could see these pictures of France, and she was just so thrilled. She's like, I've always dreamed of being in France, and now I'm finally here. And even though it was virtual, just that excitement to introduce her to a whole new world. And I thought that was like so important because there's such a huge difference for those that have yet to be introduced in the world of technology, because there's so many different things that are available out there that could help and enhance our lives using technology. So that was like in the 90s when I first started off enjoying technology. And then my dad was actually in the Navy, so we moved around a lot. I figured I didn't want anything to do with the military when I went to college, so I started off trying to do environmental science studies because I wanted to save the world. But I like doing computers, so I do that inside. But then my friends are like, you're crazy. All the money's doing technology. You're just gonna end up being a park ranger getting paid nothing. So I ended up changing my major, and I ended up working in IT. When I got out of close to getting out of college, that's when I ended up buying the house and I joined the military. I figured by then I took a long enough break to figure out, whether or not I still wanted the military in my life after having it being there since I was born. Every 3 years, PCSing, permanent change of station of the military. So I decided I missed it, but missed it like just enough to do reserves and not active duty. Though what I didn't know is they can activate you whenever they want and make you be full-time. So I ended up learning that. I ended up joining the same unit as Tyrone in Massachusetts, the Northeast Information Operations Center. And it was just a whole bunch of us IT folks in that particular unit, so that was really neat. One thing you'll learn if you ever join the military is don't listen to the recruiter, they lie. I went to the recruiter to try to do IT, and they actually told me that there was no seats available, for doing IT, but you could be a tank repair person, and I could get the bonus kicker startup, GI Bill in the works, and I was like, no, I really want to do IT. So I'll talk to the Air Force recruiter, and they said, wait, hold on. Let me talk to my supervisor, and magically one seat became available, so that's how I joined Tyrone's unit and the Army, because they found that one seat. I deployed to Afghanistan down the road, and ended up getting out, and that's how I ended up starting my own IT consulting and contracting company, because it was very challenging hearing, we support our veterans, but when you get back, pretty much they say, don't call us, we'll call you, and they don't call back. And I've always dreamed of owning my own company, and my goal with my company is to be able to hire other veterans, because I know exactly what it's like to come back and face that challenge. And we have all these leadership skills, and most of us already have a clearance, but a lot of society likes to see us as a liability when, you know, we can be a real asset to any corporation or agency that would like to have us. Being in the military, I faced many challenges, especially being in the IT field. I've been told when I deployed with an infantry group that I'm the wrong gender, the wrong color. I'm like the wrong everything. I was pretty much like the red-headed stepchild, black sheep, because I was all the wrong things. So all these were a weakness, because a woman's place supposed to be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen, and obviously I'd rather help with IT than do any of that. So there was a lot of challenges, like including racism, that's still alive in the military, unfortunately, but persevered through them. And then the nice thing is when you get out and you start your own company, all those things are actually a good thing. Like my company is woman-owned, minority-owned, veteran-owned, and it took me 3 years, but I finally got my SDVOSB, Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business Certification. So thank you. 3 years. I want practically everything. So now my company has gotten a contract here in DC, and it's not easy. Just because you get certifications doesn't mean you automatically get work. You get a lot of rejection. Same thing when you break into the world of cybersecurity. And I was very fortunate being in the same unit as Tyrone and going to all the other units. I served with DISA, JTF GNO when they were in Sky 7 and Skyline and Falls Church when they had the anthrax scare. I was working JTF GNO doing the GigBee project there. Worked with Special Operation Command South, worked with various different units in different SIG shops doing different cybersecurity, offensive, defensive. We got an award in our old unit for doing an information assurance exercise. Was fortunate enough to have the support of the unit to give us certifications. I got DITSCAP certified, which is now DIACAP, which they're phasing out to be RMF. So as one of the things I'd like to advise you all is keep an open mind and embrace change, because I've met so many people, I only do this technology, I only do this programming language, but everything is constantly evolving. Even like the different threats that are out there, you know, just because, you know, we figure out a solution for one, you know, every time we take down one bad guy, there's a whole bunch of new ones, you know, coming out there, different threats, different viruses, so many different things out there. That's one thing I love about cybersecurity is, number one, there's going to be job security because there's always bad guys. Number two, we can fight the bad guys from home, so I don't have to go to like Afghanistan. I get to stay home, and it's really relaxing not having people trying to constantly kill us all the time, and obviously get paid a little bit better than the Army paid me, and I have to do the extra duties that comes with being in the Army when deployed in Afghanistan, so I really appreciated that. So I've been doing IT now for over 20 years, and my company specializes in cybersecurity, information assurance, and certification accreditation, which is rolling over to the continuous monitoring, which is under RMF when they phase out at the end of this year. Thanks to being in this area and networking, I've been really lucky to be selected to serve as a commissioner for the Maryland Department of Veterans Affairs, Board of Directors member and chair of External Affairs Committee for OPAPA. Now that I'm in a better place, because coming back from Afghanistan, it was challenging. Being unemployed after like you served your country and like just facing all these challenges, you know, it was tough. But I'd like to let you know that, you know, no matter how bad it gets, things will get better. And don't lose hope, don't give up, persevere, and rejection, never take it personally. Like whether it's, you know, failing at a certification or an exam, whether it's getting that rejection letter from that job that you want. If you get that rejection from that job that you want, then maybe you weren't meant to be at that job. I know there's been many situations where I've gotten rejected at certain companies, but then in the end, I end up with a better job than what I originally was shooting for, or with a better company, or doing something that I was really meant to be in. So never take things personally. Don't be hard on yourself. Persevere. Keep trying. And one of the things that's very important for me is giving back. I do a lot of volunteer work. I volunteer with Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America, IAVA, Team Red, White, and Blue, Team Rubicon, Veterans Voices, and the mission continues. I did a fellowship with them when I first got back from Afghanistan when I was trying to figure out work, and ended up helping the local American Legion where we renovated them, and then also hosted a Korean resource fair where other veterans got to learn about the benefits that they didn't even know they were eligible for, especially like the Agent Orange veterans that didn't even know that some things that they were entitled to. So always do your research. So whether you're a veteran or not, there are so many resources out there, especially being in DC, and so many free services as well, whether you're starting your company, trying to find work, so many career fairs. Like if you're starting your company, there's SCORE, SBA, there's so many great resources. We're very fortunate to live in DC. So I'm an alumni of those various organizations, and then I've been really fortunate coming back from Afghanistan, doing the different work that I've done. I've been recognized as a 2012 Rising Star Award honoree at the Women Veterans Rock Rally, 2013 Leaders and Legends honoree, Women Veteran Entrepreneur Corps awardee, 2015 NBC Women Warrior honoree, and I got the President's Call to Service Award for the volunteer work that I do. And I think that's something really important, like whether you're unemployed or you're the most successful person in the world, everyone has the ability to give back and to help someone else. And I think that is such a key thing. One of the things I do with my love of cybersecurity and technologies, I notice we're kind of in the minority. It's really a male-dominated field. So one of the things that I've enjoyed doing in the past is mentoring middle school girls. We host at the University of Maryland a Cybersecurity for Girls Summit where they bring in 400 middle school girls from all over before the hormones hit and they get caught up in boys, you know, and introduce them into cybersecurity. And they realize, hey, this is actually cool, it could be fun. We let them be like cybersecurity investigators for the day, and they solve a cyber crime, and we, you know, have them solve all these different things and make them realize that there's various aspects of cybersecurity, everything from like learning to pick a lock to like, you know, how to, you know, hack things, I mean like the offensive, defensive, and get them really excited and say, hey, you know, cybersecurity is actually really interesting. It's not just a far-fetched thing. And I remember one of the middle school girls actually asked me, I don't know if you guys have seen Criminal Minds, but they said, Garcia, is she good or bad? Because she was a hacker that was bad, and now she's, you know, working in the good side. And I said, you know, knowledge is power, and you know what you get, it's up to you to use it for good. So that way you could be one of the good guys too. You can help protect and defend our country by, you know, going out there doing cybersecurity and, you know, making sure the bad guys don't do that. Because this is more than just an abstract thing. Hackers have a very far reach. They have the potential to do huge things, very bad things, whether it's hacking into like banks or our power grid or like our missile system. I mean, people don't really think about it, but you know, there's a lot going on in the background to make sure that we all stay safe. So I think it's really important, no matter what aspect of cybersecurity you're interested in. I think it's a very, very important field to be in at this time. And the nice thing is it's really hot right now. And so there's always, you know, lots of jobs to be had. The important thing, I'll echo what everyone else has been saying, get your certification, because it shows, you know, that you know your stuff. You need to have some kind of way to prove that you're not all talk, that you can actually pass the test, that you have at least the common core knowledge. So certifications are important. If you can get an education, that's great too, whether, you know, like pursuing a degree in cybersecurity, that shows another level of knowledge. But I think also another important thing is experience. There's nothing like experience. I've been so lucky to be in the Army, though sometimes it didn't always feel like it, be thrown into like, you know, this aspect or that aspect of cybersecurity in different groups and teams. So if you have an opportunity to do an internship or like volunteer, be involved in a group. I'm also a member of ISSA Nova, ISC Squared, the DC chapter, and every month they, just like this, they have different speakers come in and give different talks. And I think it's very important to stay current, stay up to date, stay relevant, like the previous speaker said, like Vince said. You want to be on top of your game. When you go up to interviews, they're always like asking, you know, all these questions, trying to test you and try to see what you know. So don't think that something you knew like a year ago is necessarily the same thing now, because things are, the only thing certain, you know, the only thing that doesn't change is the fact that it's always going to change. So that's one way to think about it. So I would say continue to improve yourself and continue to challenge yourself is very important too. Find what you love and do it. Like what they say, if you find something that you love, you'll never work another day in your life. So when you find something that you're passionate about, pursue it. And even if at first it doesn't seem reachable, find a way. Create a plan, create steps. One of the important things is a mentor. Find someone, like he's with, like Tyrone is saying, where you're stalking someone, you can take it a step and above and beyond in a non-threatening, non-stalkerish way and approach them at one of these socializing events. You know, that's the whole point of networking events, is to, you know, people like, you know, being able to reach out to others, and, you know, those with knowledge like sharing it, and those that, you know, want to learn, you know, want to receive it. So let's have a two-way street where everyone's giving and receiving. And then when you're at a point where you feel comfortable with your knowledge or you're in a better position, make sure you turn around and help, you know, whether you're mentoring others or volunteering some way. I think it's very important. That's why we have two hands, one to reach out and get help and one to help others up. So for me, I've always been trying to find that balance to continually try to improve myself, because I know before it was very tough being a woman, being a minority, being a veteran. Like before, it felt like all the odds were against me, but I figured, you know, even if people reject me, then, you know, it just wasn't meant to be. I'll keep moving on and find those that want to accept me into their circle, that, you know, find other positive people where we can all lift each other up, where we can all educate each other and we can all help each other out. Because I think that's so important. One person alone isn't going to be able to do as much as they like. One person alone can't change the world. But I think working together, everyone can make a difference. Working together, we can make such a huge impact. We can change the world with the power of working together. So I think it's great that Tyrone hosts these great events where, you know, we can come together, we can all get to know each other, we can share strengths and weaknesses. And I've always found, like, try to surround yourself with others that, you know, that challenge you, that make you stronger and better. And, you know, you can't always be the best person, but, you know, you can always try to be better. So I think no one's going to be perfect, but we can try to be the best person we could be. So I just want to let you know that I appreciate this opportunity, and I hope and challenge you all to help each other out, help others out, make a difference, and hopefully we can all work together to keep our country safe. So thank you for having me. Any questions or questions?
Yeah, we can leave it up for now. So, as I mentioned before, when I first met Gail, she was this little tiny thing in this big baggy uniform and the boots and the hat crooked. And look at her now. She's got her own company here in DC, cyber capital of the world, giving a presentation to almost 50 people, and just talking about all the great things that she's been doing in life. So, let's give it up for Gail. Really proud of you. Keep it up. I want to thank the speakers that were here. Brandon, thank you. Vince, he had to step out. Thanks, Brandon. Vince had to step out. I just have a couple questions. So, who here, how many CEOs do we have in the room? That's the first question. Raise your hand if you own your own company. All right, so, as you can see, there are folks in here that own their own companies, right? How many people got a chance to meet someone new tonight? Good, almost everyone. So I put that challenge out to everyone. I'm happy to see that everyone accepted the challenge and succeeded at the challenge. Last question, how many people are here for the first time? All right, so that gets me every single time I see that. So I want to thank you all for coming out. I want to thank my team at Cover 6 Solutions for helping me put this together. Some of our upcoming meetups include introduction to malware analysis. We have Lane from Primal Security. The Primal Security team has been here before, giving us presentations. So we'll Lane will be here. That will be the next one. That will be at WeWork Crystal City. We have a hiring event coming up in September. We have an exploitation presentation. We have a big data presentation coming up. We have one of my favorites, IPv6 Essentials, coming up. I may be presenting on that, I'm not sure. We have a exploitation presentation coming up and a post-exploitation coming up. So our year is almost booked. If anyone would like to give a presentation or help out in a presentation, as you can see, it's formally informal. It's a real laid-back atmosphere. Also, I would like everyone to kind of feel comfortable in this environment. Feel free to add to the group. Feel free to ask questions. I like questions. And with that being said, we are done for the night. And thank you all for coming out. See you at the next one.
Can I just add something really fast?
Yes.
Just want to say, please add me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is awesome. Through LinkedIn, I've been asked to be a panelist at Microsoft. I've been on some entrepreneurship TV shows, radio. Like, there's just been so many amazing things, like from different partnering and teaming opportunities that have evolved through LinkedIn, and it's free. So I say, whenever you find a tool or a resource that's free that will benefit you, it never hurts to sign up. So just saying, feel free to add me. Thank you.
Good job, man.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for coming out.